The next presenter on the program is the SASSETA's Executive Manager for Skills Planning, Reporting and Evaluation. He will present the organization's non-financial performance. Welcome, Mr. Memela.
Program Director, thank you very much, Mrs. Amot. Let me start off by acknowledging the Chairperson of the Board, Mr. Chris Mdao, the members of the Board, the members of our various chambers, our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Tamsang Namdonso, the Executive Management and Staff, the Chairperson of the Audit and Risk Committee, Ms. Michelle Pillay, the members of the Audit and Risk Committee, Mr. Begi Kujwa, and Ms. Portia Mushwana, esteemed stakeholders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Dumelang, Huyamore, Sanmonan. Program Director, it is indeed a privilege and honor to stand here today and present the non-financial performance information for the 2021 financial year. Events like these are important instruments for accountability and transparency, and where the board and management account to the public and stakeholders on both performance and financial status of the organization. And that's why we're here today. As our chairperson said, it has been a difficult and challenging year indeed. COVID-19 and national lockdown regulations has impacted to the implementation and finalization of our learning programs negatively and on different levels. In spite of these challenges, SASSETA continued to make sensational progress, and the results are evident. Program Director, let me get to the business. The presentation provides an abstract analysis of the achievement as well as the challenges faced by the organization during the 2020-21 financial year. SASSETA is one of the 21 SETAs that was established and entrusted with the requisite authority to facilitate the skills development in the safety and security sector. One of the things that SASSETA is entrusted to do is to develop the sector skills plan and ensure that all interventions identified in the sector skills plan are addressed and support the National Skills Development Plan goals and outcomes and all other government priorities as identified through key strategic frameworks. It further ensures that the scarce and critical skills gap identified are prioritized in all our interventions. We are also entrusted with the mandate to facilitate and monitor the skills development in the safety and security sector in terms of supporting dynamic and impactful skills development program and advancing the core sectoral occupations to build and maintain the competency in the sector. We also analyze the supply and demand in the sector in terms of hard-to-fill vacancies, the skills gap reported by the employers, and support better training and job matching. Our pledge, we the people of SASSETA, we strive every day to adhere to our mission, vision, and values. Our vision is to be the leader in the skill development in the SADC region. Our mission is to professionalize the safety and security sector by providing qualification and quality skills through effective and efficient partnership. Our values are supported by the culture of Ubuntu, leadership, equity, accountability, transparency, integrity, and professionalism. Our sector consists of public and private sector. The public sector consists of government security agencies and law enforcement bodies whose role is to protect and serve the public and the interest of the state. The private sector consists of companies and bodies who provide security and legal services to paying clients. The scope of our sector, we are responsible for the 7 subsectors. The first being the policing, corrections, defense, justice, intelligence services, legal services, and the private security services. Employment uptake shows private security being the biggest employer with 51%, followed by policing with 19%, and the smallest being the justice with 5%. The provincial distribution of the workforce in the sector, Gauteng is sitting at 56%, followed by Western Cape and KZN at 11% respectively. Demographic distribution is male at 69% and female at 31%. Clearly, there is much to be done to improve the female participation in our sector. Over the past year, SASSETA has been making sensational progress, and the result is evident in the following graphs. The 2018-19 financial year, we had achieved 92% with a clean audit. The 2019-20 financial year, we had achieved again 92% with unqualified audit outcome. And the 2020-21 financial year, we had achieved 97% with a clean audit. SASSETA has 4 programs. Program 1 had achieved 100% of its target. Program 2 had achieved 100% of its program. And Program 3 had achieved 97% of its target, which is the 2% higher than the last financial year. There has been an improvement in Program 3. In Program 4, we had achieved 100% of our target, which is a huge jump of 25% over the last year. Program 1 had achieved 100% of its target, with the improvement include the internal control environment and the risk management and compliance. The challenges include the tackling of the ICT capacity and infrastructure. Program 2 has achieved 100% of its target. The improvements that were noted in Program 2 include internal research capacity and the increased number of impact studies to determine SASSETA's efficacy. The challenges that were noted during the year under review in Program 2 include monitoring and evaluation personnel capacity. Program 3 had achieved 97% of its target, which is 2% higher than last financial year. The number of learners entering learnership programs were the target of 650, we had achieved 654. Where there is a budget, we are allowed to squeeze the number of learners to overachieve. The number of employed learners entering learnership were the target of 250, we had achieved 247. This is the only target that was underachieved in Program 3. The number of unemployed learners entering skills program in community college, we were at a target of 200 and we had achieved 201. The number of learners or students in TVET colleges entering work integrated programs were the target of 150, we have overachieved by 7. The number of learners placed as candidate attorney in candidates program were the target of 140, we have overachieved by 3. And on the target of unemployed bursaries, we had a target of 150, we achieved 174, which is an overachievement of 24. The number of employed learners entering skills program, we overachieved by 6. The number of learners entering artisan-related programs, we had a target of 100 and we achieved 144. The number of persons declared competent on trade tests, we had a target of 60 and we had achieved 62, which is an overachievement of 2. On the number of entrepreneurs supported, we had a target of 10, of which we had achieved 10. The improvements that were noted in Program 3 include revised DG processes to realize efficiency and compliance. The challenges that were noted during the year under review in Program 3 include the delay in the implementation of learning programs by some of our stakeholders. The national lockdown protocols delayed the implementation and finalization of our learning programs. Now we're moving into Program 4, which is the quality assurance. The Program 4 had achieved 100% of its target, which is a huge jump of 25% over the last financial year. The number of occupations and qualification we had to realign and submit to QCTO were the target of 3, and we achieved 3 as follows: the National Certificate, Family Law, the National Diploma Policy, and Further Education and Training Certificate, Specialized Security. The improvements that were noted in Program 4: reduced turnaround time on certificate, provide a capacitation through roadshows. The challenges that we were confronted by in Program 4 include the delay in the completion of our programs due to COVID-19 protocols. In conclusion, Program Director, SASSETA did not realize its vision in isolation. We wish to thank all our stakeholders across our subsectors for their passion, commitment, and support during the past financial year. Together, we have achieved a great year. We are grateful for your commitment, dedication, and energy that propels SASSETA to thrive. We thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mamela. I would now like to introduce SASSETA's Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ikalafeng Diale, who has led us through a tough financial period the past year. His dedication and tenacity are commendable. Welcome, Mr. Diale.
Thank you, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests. It is my pleasure presenting to you the SASSETA annual financial statements for the year ended 31st of March 2021. This presentation is a summary of the detailed financial statements in our annual report. The Program Director already told us that the link to downloading the annual report is in the Zoom chat box below. This presentation outlines the revenue and expenditure performance, the financial position, commitments, fruitless and wasteful, and irregular expenditure. Colleagues who presented before me already told us the adverse impact of COVID-19 pandemic to economic and social activities. And again, as correctly said, we were also not spared, given the architect of our revenue streams. The adverse impact of this situation was realized on our projected revenue for the year, where we had to revise down our budgeted revenue, and the loss is not going to be recovered. Similarly, this also found expression on the projected expenditure. You will notice the extent of this situation on the financial performance. Our financial performance for the year shows a decrease of 21% in revenue when compared to the prior year, moving from 503 million to 395 million. Our total expenses amounted to 342 million, decreasing by the similar proportion to revenue when compared to 444 million of the previous year. Our expenditure segments are administration costs, mandatory and discretionary grants. This resulted in an operating surplus of 52 million rands, which is 5% less when compared to that of the prior year. Our annual revenue is earned through levies paid by private legal firms and security companies, and also from government departments and funds invested. As you can see, the total revenue decreased when compared to the previous year. As previously shown, our annual expenditure decreased in all three segments of administration costs, mandatory and discretionary grants when compared to the prior year. From the graph, it is apparent that our biggest expenditure is allocated to discretionary grants, being the core business of the SASSETA. Administrative costs are basically for support services within the SASSETA, such as human capital, accommodation, and other overheads. Mandatory grants expenses are self-regulatory and informed by the extent to which companies applying for mandatory grants comply with the requirements. Our financial position shows a growing trend in total assets, leaving total assets of 568 million rands. For the year under review, total liabilities decreased to 76 million rands. Our reserves increased to 492 million rands, and these are largely to service our discretionary grant commitments. Our current year commitments to core business activities as listed were 462 million rands. We are grateful that no incidents of fruitless and wasteful expenditure were incurred. We incurred unfortunate irregular expenditure of 1.4 million rands, which was because of process issues that were not within the control of the SASSETA, but services were received by the SASSETA. The prior year irregular expenditure is being condoned in accordance with the National Treasury requirements. By law, when such instances are incurred, they need to be investigated to determine whether any losses were incurred and whether any compliance processes were violated. This is to determine accountability and attach consequence management, and lastly, to determine whether services were delivered or not. It was proven that all necessary steps were followed and the incurrence of irregular expenditure was due to process issues that were beyond SASSETA's control. The attainment of clean audit is in line with our ultimate goal to maintain clean administration characterized by excellent governance, effective internal controls in all areas of business, and commendable commitment from all our staff, Team SASSETA. I am grateful for the financial performance and the audit outcome achieved. Thank you for the support received from the board and its governance structures, the Audit and Risk Committee, our stakeholders, my executive management colleagues, and the entire SASSETA family. Thank you.